show, Grammy nominated, awesome dance stars, Sofi Tukker. Hello, guys. How are you?
Hello,
Hi.
how are you doing?
I'm so happy to have you back on the show. I told you just off air that the last time we spoke was in 2017 when you came through Montreal. We had a great time, and I cannot wait to chat to you about the new album, which is called Wet Tennis. Of course, your single that's out, Summer in New York. So many things to talk about. Before we start into that, though, I did want to ask you, how long have you guys now actually been together, and how has your partnership evolved over the years?
We
How
met
long
in
is
2015. We met in 2014 and we kind of started the band like officially
in 2014.
in 2014.
Yeah, we
I would
might
say
have met
2015.
in 2013.
Really?
Yeah, we graduated in 2014.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Get out of here.
Okay, so we've known each other for long enough that like the brother-sister relationship has become very strong.
Okay, that's
the most like teasing and also love.
That's perfect. Now, I wanted to ask you how you think your music has evolved over the last 8 years.
It's definitely evolved. I mean, we've also evolved so much. I think when we started, we were really just figuring out how to make music, like in general and together. Like we were literally figuring out how to use things in the studio when we made Soft Animals. When we made Drinky, which was our first song we ever made together, and the first song we released also, Sofi, it was the first time she'd like held an electric guitar because she played acoustic guitar and was like a jazz musician and didn't really know what to do with an electric guitar and like plucked it like a bass. So we've kind of always just kind of figured it out and had ideas and then figured out how to execute them, I think. And now
I think we're getting better at making music. At least we know more pathways to making a song because we've tried out a lot of different things. And I think also we still bring like the beginner's mind to it for sure, but we have more skill.
Yeah, when you do something so much, you get better at it.
that whole 10,000 hours thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you too, how would you guys, because I have read, like I've been doing, all my prep, getting ready to talk to you guys, and it just seems that everybody describes you and your sound differently. Like it's electro pop, it's EDM, it's dance, this is what. How does Sofi Tukker categorize their sound?
I think we like that no one can really pinpoint it. And it's true, everyone says something different. Sometimes it raises our eyebrows a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, I think it feels way more freeing to not be stuck to a genre, because I think dance music specifically, you can really kind of get pigeonholed into your genre, and then when you go out of it, people don't like it. And I think we're lucky we've always been bouncing around. We have things that distinctly sound like us, I think, and I hope. We have Sofi's voice and my voice a little bit more now, and the guitar and certain vibes and percussion and basses and stuff, but it can be anything. I mean, some of our music's like crazy tempos. Some of our biggest songs like Purple Hat or Best Friend have been like 94 BPM, and then some of them are, then most of it's house music tempo, which is like 125 BPM. It's like, yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's awesome. I just love that every time I listen to your music, and I just have listened to the new album, it's like there's always this joy and positive vibe going on. Does that speak to you? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's always been important to us that our music makes people feel good, and makes them feel better than before they listen to the music. And I think like with this album in particular, like we wrote a lot of songs where we were like kind of like emotional during the pandemic. And we chose on purpose not to include many of them. Like if there is a moment of like rawness or like more emotion, like even if it's emotional, first of all, it'll still make you dance, but like we didn't want to include all of the emotional songs on the album, and we wanted to make sure if there was one that it was kind of followed up by like a really optimistic track. And so it's definitely very intentional on our part in the grand scheme of things. But I would also say that when we're actually in the studio writing, we tend to just be like, what's real right now,
Did you guys spend lockdown together?
Yeah, we lived together. We were stuck here in Florida, for a long time, just us and one other person in the house, and we wrote a lot of the album then. And a lot of the album was imagining either times before the pandemic or sort of trying to manifest, the days that we're excited about for post pandemic. So like Sun Came Up, for example, was we were not having a party with our friends till the sun came up at all. We were in our house dreaming about doing that. So we wrote a song kind of for escape, for ourselves to escape into that song. And same with Summer in New York. We just missed the energy of New York when you walk around, meet a friend, adventure happens here, just that camaraderie. We had none of that. And it made us miss it so much because we were stuck at home.
I understand that your fans played a part in this new album. Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, so we wrote most of it while we were in quarantine in our house, and we were live stream DJing every single day from our living room. And so we would basically spend all day in the studio working on music, and then we would go and into the live stream and like test it out and play what we were like, basically just because we were sharing absolutely everything. We were sharing like how we were really doing and what was really going on in our lives, and like what we were working on in the studio is just part and parcel of like what we were doing. And so it just felt very natural to share it. And then people would either like people would get like attached to the first demo that they hear, and then we'd go back in the studio and change it, and people are like, oh no, like where did that thing go? So it was a bit of a funny experience, but really it did feel like collaborative, because we would share it and then go fine tune it and then share it again and then fine tune it with the Freak Fam, which is the community that was built around the live stream DJ sets.
Being in the pandemic, obviously there was many things that were terrible about it, but now that we're coming through the other side, what do you take away from it and its influence on your music?
I think we learned, it definitely influenced the music and the album that we made musically, because we weren't making music for being on stage and getting people to go crazy. As like our first album, we wrote it while we were touring the whole time. So we were writing for stage, and what we wanted to do was make people go more nuts. So we like wrote songs that could try to evoke that. And this time we didn't know when we'd be touring again. We didn't know when this album was going to come out. And we were around our house listening to music in the kitchen, hanging out in the living room, in bed. And so the music we were inspired by was for different purposes. And I think that actually affected it a lot, with like some songs that are like more vibey and some songs that are, hopefully DJable, because we were doing a ton of DJing. So definitely.
I wanted to ask you too about Summer in New York. Now, it's such a great song, and I love that you guys use the Suzanne Vega Tom's Diner. How did that idea come about? Because that's such a great song, and you've interpreted it amazingly well.
Thank you. I mean, like Tucker said, we were really just dreaming about the day that we wished that we were having. And we were dreaming about being in New York and with our friends and having this like really spontaneous day at our favorite places in the city. And we wrote this song, and actually we had like a guitar riff during that section. And we just kept coming back to the song and being like, we really love this song, but the guitar riff just like isn't good enough yet. And then we had the idea, because Tom's Diner has this like very matter of fact, like going through a day vibe, and we felt like Summer in New York was kind of like the 2022 like version of Tom's Diner. So we're like, why don't we very purposefully nod to the track and actually like interpolate that same melody and make it like, our version of Tom's Diner in 2022.
I also wanted to know, because I don't think I was able to ask this the last time we spoke, but with regards to the new album and even just the songs that are like Sun Came Up and Summer in New York, have you been out in the car yet and have heard it? Like, what does that feel like? Have you had that song in the car come on?
Yeah, I have. It feels so good.
Summer in New York?
Yeah, and on Sirius.
I'm like,
not to plug any
random. I'm like, when have I been in the car?
Yeah, and Sun Came Up a lot. when it first came out. It feels unbelievable. That never goes away. That like excitement, I think, when you hear your music on the radio.
I love hearing that because obviously as a radio announcer, we hear so often like, oh, this, that, and whatever about radio. But every time I ask an artist, their faces light up that radio still matters to hear their song on the air. So I think that's super cool.
It does. It feels really good. There is something special about it.
Well, I love that. Honestly, it makes me super happy to hear this. And I know that you guys are heading back out on tour and you're coming to Montreal very soon, which we're super excited about. What does it feel like for you guys heading out on tour after coming through what we've come through?
It feels triply as good and as precious because we know that it can be taken away.
Yeah.
It's like, as cliche as it is, like we just don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
And when you come to Montreal and obviously all the other tour dates, what can you give us a little tease at what the fans can expect from Sofi Tukker back on stage?
Yes. Well, we designed a completely new show for this album, for the Wet Tennis Tour, and it's pretty insane. We have like a lot going on. It's so much energy and so much rehearsing. We have like dancers. I mean, it's like really hectic and so much fun. It's a game between me and Sofi each show. Like, we don't know who's gonna win. By the end of the show, we'll know there'll be like a winner, and the crowd gets really involved. It's just like a really fun dance party that hopefully will just make everyone have a really good time.
Now, all of us here in Montreal are super excited to have you guys come back to our city. I know you guys have been here a couple of times before. What's the best thing about Montreal for you guys?
Ooh, it's such a cool city. Ooh, if it didn't get cold, I think I would live in Montreal. Like, Montreal in the summer is like the best city there is.
Yeah, I think the people are cool. Everyone, it feels like you're in Europe. Like, it's just like such a cool vibe. Everyone's cool. They look cool. They're like, the food is always good. No complaints. Only good things about Montreal.
Amazing. And I just had a couple of final quick questions that I call them fast facts with Sofi Tukker. So if you guys could switch places with another artist or producer for one day, who would it be and why?
Stromae.
Why would you switch places with him?
Look inside his head.
Yeah. I mean, he's the best. Okay, if I could change places.
Just one day. Not permanent. I wouldn't change places with anyone.
No, I know. I'm just trying to think of someone that I would want to, when I was them that day, I'd call us and say, we're going to do a song together. And just strategy here.
Well, that was actually going to be my next question. Like, who do you guys want to collaborate with? Is there someone right now?
Calvin Harris.
Calvin Harris always. He's
Nice.
a beast. Yeah, he's awesome.
He is a beast. I
Want to answer?
No, that's good.
Okay.
What's your favorite social media platform? And do you actually ever end up DMing some of your fans directly?
Oh my God, literally spend all day DMing fans. Like, actually spend a lot of time.
Well, they're not really fans anymore.
No, like,
we're
like chatting.
friends.
We're like chatting all day.
Yeah, Instagram is definitely the one we probably hang out on the most.
I mean, we
really enjoy TikTok.
Yeah. I think, like, as a scroller, I prefer how I feel after I spend time scrolling on TikTok. Cause like usually like the algorithm that we have is like, I just like laugh for a long time for a while, I love it.
But the difference for me is TikTok, it can be entertaining and you can feel good, but you don't necessarily like know what your friends' lives are going.
Yeah.
And I love keeping up with people, especially how much we travel and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's nice to, like, even if I don't necessarily talk to everyone all the time, I can be like, oh, cool, this person had a baby.
That's cool. Last question. What message would you love to give to your Montreal fans?
I hope you got tickets to the show because it's gonna be nuts. We love it there. It's always fun. I've had my most favorite like after party night out experiences also there. So like if you see me in the streets, say what's good.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
And you can't miss Tukker, right? Because you're like 6'5" or something.
6'7".
6'7". There we go.
You definitely can't miss it.
Guys, I love having you on the show. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Hey, it's Kelly. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching and listening to our interviews. We always appreciate your time. Please make sure to follow us on our YouTube channel and also hit up our website so that you can subscribe to our newsletter so you are always up to date with everything that we have got going on with the show. KellyAlexanderShow.com/subscribe.